Hello, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? How are you all? Once again, guys, I am here right now for another AEW.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Making his way to the ring from Aberdeen, Washington, weighing in at 210 pounds, Daniel Bryan.
Yes, like I was saying, guys, I'm here for another AEW Dynamite Grand Slam match simulation, and this is gonna be the last, Dynamite Grand Slam match simulation that I've got, because after this, I'm gonna be focusing on Rampage. But here we go, guys. Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, whatever you may want to call him, the American Dragon, the leader of the S Movement. This guy is a badass in pro wrestling, an absolute fucking legend. Bryan Danielson makes his AEW in-ring debut tonight, and he goes one-on-one against the AEW World Champion, the face of All Elite Wrestling, Kenny Omega. And if you're Bryan Danielson, you must be ecstatic and nervous as hell, because this is your first AEW match, and you're already going up against the top guy in the company, the world champion, Kenny Omega. And speaking of Kenny Omega, guys, here he comes, the face of All Elite Wrestling, the world heavyweight champion.
Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, weighing in at 204 pounds, one half of the Superstar.
I think what you meant, Greg, was to say the AEW World Champion, Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, that's right, guys, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. The third ever AEW World Champion, who defeated Jon Moxley on December 2nd at the Winter is Coming event to win the title. And now tonight, guys, Bryan Danielson said it best. It's not about the championship, but it will be one day. And guys, before Bryan Danielson gets his shot at the AEW World title, he has to go through the champion first in a non-title match, guys. It's Bryan Danielson's AEW in-ring debut, and he goes up against the world champion Kenny Omega. And for the first time in years, guys, Danielson and Omega share the ring. And what better time to do it than the main event of AEW Dynamite Grand Slam? Here we go, guys. The bell has sounded. Carnival tie-up by Danielson and Omega. Kenny with the left arm of Danielson. Danielson in the world of trouble right now. Oh, but Danielson able to turn the tide on Omega. Now with the left arm of Omega. That's the submission specialist offense. That's that style that Bryan has. Right hand, you could see there. Oh, God. And a knee to the ribs of Omega. And going back to work on the World Heavyweight Champion. But Kenny Omega with the forearm shot to the face of Bryan. And a knee strike to Bryan. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. It is our main event. It is Kenny Omega, the AEW World Champion, versus Bryan Danielson, who makes his in-ring debut tonight. And Omega, just when we thought he was going to take flight, instead, he took out Bryan with the baseball slide, and right there, dropped toe hold, and you could hear the thud on the floor. My gosh, as Bryan is in a world of trouble. Oh, no! Kenny Omega dropping Bryan on the back of his head. And remember, the neck issues that Bryan has is what caused him to retire years ago. But who would have thought that Bryan would get back in the ring? And we're happy he did, as Bryan now in trouble again. Omega pummeling away on Bryan and the barricade. Omega and Bryan outside the ring now have a count of 10 to get back in. And at the same time, both men back inside the ring. Well, at least Bryan was there first. And Bryan sends Omega into the corner and gonna perch Kenny Omega on the top rope. Omega sits down on the top. Bryan, what does he have in mind here? My gosh, guys. Bryan Danielson, oh no. From the top rope, don't you? Oh no. No! Ow! The butterfly suplex off the top rope. Bryan Danielson, now the roundhouse kick by the American Dragon. My God, and just like that, guys, he just kicked Kenny Omega's fucking head in. And again, he did. Like Bryan used to say, guys, you're gonna get your fucking head kicked in. And Bryan now targets the leg of the AEW World Champion. And Bryan now gonna look for another butterfly dragon suplex. And he hits it to perfection. And Bryan is feeling the love of Arthur Ashe Stadium tonight in Queens, New York. Bryan Danielson is on a roll right now. Could you imagine, guys? Bryan's first AEW match, and he pins the AEW World Champion. If Bryan does this, guys, it'll be the biggest win of his AEW career, and it's only his first match off the top rope. The flying headbutt by Bryan. Here's the cover on Omega, but a kick out of 2. Bryan Danielson almost had it, but now the label lock, the crossface. It's locked in on Omega. What's the champion gonna do? Is he gonna make Kenny tap out? Bryan, he's got Omega in a world of trouble. No, Kenny does not tap, guys. But if he did, that would have been a huge win for Bryan. Right hand shot to the face of Bryan by Omega. Omega and Bryan center the ring now. And Bryan off the... Whoa! Out of the air goes Omega. And again, the label lock. No! But Omega able to reach the ropes, much to the chagrin of Bryan Danielson. Oh man, now targeting the right arm of Kenny Omega. And again, a roundhouse kick to Omega. I tell you, oh, wait a minute. V-trigger by Omega. For two guys who haven't been in the ring together in years, they remember each other very, very well. Omega, here's the cover. But no, oh, I don't know how the hell he did it, but Bryan kicked out at 1. Bryan kicked out of 1 of the V-trigger, caught the leg, and sweeping Omega off his feet with the Russian leg sweep. With the dragon screw leg whip, I should say. Bryan once again feeling the love of Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens, New York. Oh, suplexing Omega into the ring, guys, once again. This is AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. We are live tonight on TNT from Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens, New York. Omega with a nice takedown to Bryan, and the champion could put Bryan away here, guys. Kenny Omega, oh no. Oh no, if he does this, it's lights out for Bryan. Kenny Omega with the one-winged angel. Oh, come now. It's not over just yet. Bryan Danielson still in this one. Whether Kenny likes it or not, guys. Hey, if you ask me, I'm not biased. I love both these guys. I don't care who wins. Oh no. Omega, another one-winged angel. Looking to spoil Bryan's debut. And just like that, guys, Kenny Omega puts away Bryan Danielson and spoils the AEW in-ring debut of the American Dragon. Like I said, guys, I'm not biased because I love both Bryan and Kenny Omega. I didn't care who wins, but at the same time, I would hate to see Bryan's debut get spoiled. And unfortunately, now it has been thanks to Kenny Omega. And trust me, I'm not biased. I love both these guys. I don't care who wins. As long as they steal the show, that's what matters.
Here is your winner, the Superstar.
My gosh, guys. Hey. Very valiant effort by Bryan Danielson, who picks up a huge W. Bryan Danielson's AEW in-ring debut has been spoiled by the AEW World Champion, Kenny Omega, who picks up a successful W against the new AEW Superstar, guys. But the question is, will this be the scene at the real-life Dynamite Grand Slam event? We won't know till tonight when AEW Dynamite Grand Slam streams live on TNT at 8 o'clock on TNT. Like I said, so much is happening tonight for AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, guys. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, defends her coveted AEW Women's World Championship against Ruby Soho. We will also hear from the best in the world, CM Punk, later on tonight. And we also know, guys, Sting and Darby Allin will team up to take on FTR. We also know, guys, that Cody Rhodes goes one-on-one with Malachi Black. And in our main event, what I would assume is our main event, guys, The AEW World Champion Kenny Omega goes one-on-one with one of AEW's newest rising stars, the American Dragon Bryan Danielson. Like Bryan said, guys, to Omega, it's not about the title, but it will be one day. Who wins? We won't know till tonight, guys. But thank y'all so much for watching. Watch AEW Dynamite Grand Slam tonight live on TNT, as well as AEW Rampage Grand Slam, which is live on TNT this Friday at 10 o'clock p.m. A special 2-hour Rampage will be on the air for y'all this Friday on TNT. And thank you all so much for watching. See you in the next video. Stay safe, everyone.